And I think that's why I'm starting to fall in love more and more with these modded Corvettes. 2016 Chevrolet Corvette C7 Z51. This has been modified tastefully by the owner, David. We're powered by a 6.2-liter naturally aspirated pushrod V8. That's the LT1 engine that has direct injection, variable valve timing. It makes 455 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque with a redline of 6,600 RPM from factory. But with the headers and the E85 tune that David has done, it's now putting 440 to the wheels. You can option this with either an 8-speed automatic transmission or a 7-speed manual. The owner did right by going with the 7-speed manual transmission Tremec. We have double wishbone both front and rear with transverse composite leaf springs, hydraulic steering. It's weighing in around 3,300 pounds with a 50-50 weight distribution. Now, for those who don't know, the Z51 essentially bridges the gap between the Stingray and the Z06. So you get performance suspension with revised dampers, an ELSD, larger brakes, both front and rear, a dry sump oiling system, and additional cooling for both the transmission and the diff, and also some unique Aero changes to reduce lift. Think of the Z51 as adding most of the Z06 goodies except for the engine. Now, in terms of used market value, you're looking around 40 to 50K roughly. Now, as for mods, the full mod list, as always, is down in the description. We, of course, have the headers and the E85 tune, but the owner kept the stock exhaust so that you have the valve adjustment in the different settings. JRZ Pro 2-way adjustable coilovers, sway bars, adjustable tow arms, an LG short shifter, Recaro pole position only on the driver's seat. There is no passenger seat, which I think is hilarious. As for wheels, we have 18 by 10.5 in the front, 18 by 11 in the rear, BC forged RZ series wheels, wrapped in Nankang CRS 285 and 295 section width front to rear. Now, when he does take it out on track, he adds a 9 Lives racing wing and also changes out the brake pads as well. Now we have fixed seats, so as you guys can see, my knee is bent like 90 degrees. We're not going to be doing any of our own heel-toe rev matching. We're actually going to enable rev match using these paddles. Oop, that turned it off. Now ergonomically, I'm obviously close, and my elbow actually keeps hitting this when I'm turning, so that's not ideal. We're going to make do with what we got today. Just keep that in mind. Not the greatest ergonomics. Clutch engagement point, very high. Like that's a Corvette thing. Drove some C6s earlier today. Same thing. Oh, there we go! Alright, let's turn this into... The valve is opening up at higher RPMs. Let's open it up all the time. Track mode. We're going to go traction in its partial setting. Oh god, my elbow is so suboptimal. Wow, this is a really pointy car. Very sharp front end. Rev match is actually pretty good. It's a little bit slower than what I've seen in some other cars, but that right there was an auto rev match. I'm not heel towing at all. Wow, this is really planted. I mean, he went with JRZ Pros. You can even see the canisters behind me and also under the hood. Really high quality suspension. Great damping here. This is excellent. You're getting just enough of that road texture. Great body control. And considering the weight, it's actually handling itself quite well. And with that E85 tune, that additional power bump, something like 40-ish horsepower, makes this feel more than adequate. I like the high resolution to both the throttle and the brakes, actually. You have a good amount of travel to each. Really finely control it. Steering here, though, while it is very sharp, for a hydraulic rack, it's not really giving me as much feedback as I would want. It's not very communicative. There's a little bit there, but whenever you hear hydraulic, you get your hopes up, you know? Dude, these ergonomics are so bad. I've literally never felt so tall as when I started reviewing cars, because 6'1" isn't even that tall. You're like maybe top 10% of the US, like once you're 6'4", then you're really tall. I'm still in the normal-ish range, you know what I mean? But when you drive these cars, I'm like 90 degrees here, hitting this. But obviously the owner tracks this, so he's optimized it with these bucket seats and the seating position for himself on track. And you know, even though I'm too tall for the seat, the seat itself has this great great bolstering and great comfort. A little bit of shuddering on braking. Might have some pad deposit from those track days, or possibly even rotor warp. There's our auto rev match. It actually feels kind of unnatural. I'm not used to auto rev match because it's like muscle memory to, you know, heel toe and jab the throttle. But we're learning something new today. You know, the more Corvettes I drive, the more I actually appreciate them because, oh, thank you. They all have these different flavors. I drove 2 C6s earlier today. I've driven multiple C8s, C5, C4, and you know, depending on the kind of feel you want, you can either go for more of a madman, mad scientist, crazy brute monster, like the 7.2 liter bore stroked and sleeved C6 Z06 I drove earlier today, or you can go with something a little bit more precise and delicate, like the C6 ZR1. And this kind of straddles the line between the two, where you have a higher degree of precision and, I'm not going to say delicacy, but precision with this car, and control and fine-tuning and a decent level of communication through the chassis, even if the steering can be a little bit lacking. And yet you still have that angry, aggressive pushrod V8 in the front. And I think that is such a unique and interesting flavor, this combination of brute, hard-hitting, naturally aspirated V8 in the front, and having that precision with your controls, because you don't find a lot of cars that have that. And usually straight out of factory, Corvettes aren't going to give you that, but when you modify them, they can really come alive and they can really become these precision machines. And I think that's why I'm starting to fall in love more and more with these modded Corvettes. On throttle, you can feel just the hint of the rear, that LSD wanting to help you. Just help you get around the corner, help with that rotation. Soft limiter right around 6,500 RPM. Yeah, this is a car that would be an absolute riot on track. You have even weight distribution, although you do still have a good amount of weight in the front. It's not just weight distribution, but also polar moment of inertia, as we talked about in previous videos. You have the good fundamentals here. You have double wishbone. The steering, I'm sure you could really get it to talk to you more by adjusting the caster a bit. There's a little bit there. I'm not going to say it's totally numb. There's a little bit of communication, but it's just, you expect a lot more from hydraulic, and the steering is also a bit lighter than what I would want. There's also this very, very light weighting, like maybe 5 to 10 degrees off center, and then once you turn more, it then loads up. But instead, I want consistent loading everywhere, no matter if I'm turning the wheel just a little bit or a lot, and I want the dynamic loading to not be based on the degree, right? Like every time I turn 10 degrees, I shouldn't just automatically get more weighting. I want the additional weighting to be based on how much I'm loading the front tires, because that then tells me a very important piece of information: how much more grip do the tires have to give? It gives you more confidence to push the car harder. And the way that David has set this up, it already does give you a lot of confidence, because even though the steering isn't quite where I want it to be, everything else is quite communicative. The chassis with this, you know, the JRZ Pros, the even these other inputs, the brake and steering, they give you that high resolution, that control, that confidence, and the short shifter is very tight, very mechanical, very notchy. Clutch engagement point is a bit high, but you get used to that. I really, really love when cars have good inputs, and this car is like 80% there. I would just want to tweak the steering a little bit and just get my ergonomics better. But I mean, depending on your body build, this might be great ergonomics. But what a treat, man. I'm surprised how much I'm warming up to Corvettes. I think when they're tastefully modified, they offer this unique blend that you can't really find elsewhere. Let me know what you think of this C7 Z51 with a comment down below. If you want your car reviewed, visit us on JabalaandCars.com. Much love, my friends. Big shout out to David, the owner, for letting me review his car, and I'll see you all in that next one.